All right. So today on the first time story, Allison, I'm having such a tough day on the first time storytelling broadcast. My guest is Allison Jackson. She is the founder of Allison Jackson Fitness. She is is it NASM or do you say NASM? Is it NASM?
NASM. NASM.
She's a
You say
NASM. Awesome. She's an NASM certified personal trainer, precision nutrition certified coach, and a ANBF Pro Masters figure competitor. She is also the host of the podcast Fit to Lead. She is here today to share the story of the first time she competed in a figure competition. Welcome to the broadcast, Allison.
Thank you for having me, Anne. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah. So let's get into it. How did you come across figure competition and what got you interested in trying it out?
Yeah, so when I was a teenager, I actually used to read my dad's muscle fitness magazines, and he had a weight bench in our unfinished basement. And I used to flip through it, and I was like, it was just so enamored by how people could transform their bodies through diet and exercise. So I always had that in the back of my mind as something I wanted to do. I was very into weight training. I played field hockey in high school and college. I ran marathons. I loved trying all different sports and fitness activities. I used to teach aerobics back when they called it aerobics, and Tybo and Billy Blanks was all the rage. But always in the back of my mind, it weighed on me, like, I really still want to try that. So fast forward, I get married, I have kids, go through college, yada, yada. I came across a figure competition coach, and she was like, I could train you if you want to try it. So I was like, all right. So for 12 weeks, she watched my diet. She helped me with the training to diet down. So you typically lose, depending on obviously what shape you're in, I needed to lose like 15 pounds to get that lean, super low body fat to compete. So I did that in 2012. It was really fun. It was really hard. It was definitely more mental than physical, because you are 24/7 trying to figure out.
Yeah, so very good point. So where are you in life at this point? What kind of work are you doing? How old are your kids? So you're making this big decision to set aside 12 weeks to prepare for this. So what is happening in your life during that time?
Sure. So 2012, I have two children. So I have a daughter who's like 9 and a son who's like 12. I'm married. I work full time. So there was a lot going on, and it was figuring out a way to kind of incorporate this, because it really is a lifestyle. It's about figuring out when you're going to eat next, when you're going to train, making sure you get enough rest, water, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so you had to balance a lot of different things as you're deciding to do this for the first time and experience it. And very smart for you to get a coach. There are some people that try to do it alone, which is brave. I mean, it's brave to do it in the first place. It's very brave to try and do it by yourself. So
it is. It's hard. It's hard.
So what was happening as you were seeing the changes? So there's a lot of changes that happened in those 12 weeks.
Yeah. So, in the beginning, it's hard because you see a pound here or there. You don't really feel like much is changing. But then as you keep progressing, the changes become more and more drastic. So your clothes are getting looser. As you lose more body fat, you found that you're frequently cold. So it's hard to stay warm, even in the summertime. Like, I'll be inside and I'm constantly freezing, drinking hot tea. You'll find that you don't want the foods that you used to really crave, like the pizza, the chocolate, the donuts. You find that the cleaner your diet gets, the more clean food that you want. So some of the changes were very fascinating. And as your body fat gets really low, sleep is really hard. It's hard to get a good night's sleep. So yeah, there's a lot of factors I didn't realize as I was kind of going on this journey.
Preparing. Yeah. Now, what else are you find yourself having to prepare for? Because there's a lot that comes with stepping on stage before you even do step on stage. So besides the diet and the training, what else is happening?
So you definitely want to have a strong time management skills, because you're trying to figure out, like I said, your sleep schedule, your training. But on top of that, you need to figure out which organization you're going to compete in. So there are a variety of organizations. Some are natural. They will test you to make sure that you're not on steroids. Some are not natural. The first one that I did not realize it was not natural. So I was competing with some people that had a little bit of help. And so in addition to that, you also have to have the right bathing suit. So you don't just go off to, Target and buy a bikini off the rack. You have to have a certain cut. You want to make sure, the color, a lot of them now have all kinds of different crystals on it, because it is like a beauty pageant meets bodybuilding. So they are looking at your hair, your makeup, your tan, your bathing suit, how you present yourself. So in addition to the coach I had for, at the time, it was the same coach I had for my diet and exercise. She also helped with my posing. Now I have actually a separate posing coach. So your posing, your tan, your hair, your makeup, all like that's just the whole package. So every single thing that you need, you need to kind of think ahead, like, okay, what am I doing for that?
Okay, great description of everything that needs to happen. Now, what was it like for you? So let's see your personal story and your experience. So, okay, how did you pick your suit? What colors? How was your first posing practice? Walk us through what it was like for you.
So, so my first suit I picked, I clearly knew nothing about different fabrics, how things looked on stage, what the lights do. So I love black. So I picked black, right? With a couple little, stones in it. And it was like a velvety material. So, and fast forward 2020, I was like, oh my God, I would never have picked that. You also have to get really high 5-inch heels. And there are mandatory heels. You have to learn how to walk in those. So I literally started walking those and I was like, I'm not doing this. This is way harder than the diet and the workouts. I felt like a baby giraffe. I was like, what's happening? And that first posing practice, I wanted to cry because you're not lean enough yet. You're posing and you feel super awkward. And then you're trying to hold those poses. That's the other hard part nobody tells you about. You have to hold those poses and look like it doesn't take any effort. So you're sweating and you're shaking. And that's one of the things you have to do is you have to pose every day for like 10 to 15 minutes. And you just want to increase that time as the contest gets closer, because they will have you on stage and you will keep posing, and they have you, quarter turn right, pose, quarter turn right. And sometimes you're up there for 15 or 20 minutes just posing.
Right. So it's a lot to get used to. As you're getting closer to the show and you're doing all these different things, how's your husband and your kids reacting to your body changing, to the things that you're doing? Are they impressed with it? Are they grossed out? What's happening?
So they definitely could see the changes. They could see I was like losing a lot of weight. My mother got very upset. She was like, please eat. Like she felt like I was starving myself and was losing way too much weight and felt like I lost a lot of weight in my face. My husband was, thought I looked great, loved what I was practicing in my bikini. He was like, oh yeah, do more of that. So he really enjoyed it. But funny, the people that I work with could definitely start to see changes. Like, oh my gosh, your clothes looked good. Like we're starting to get looser and looser, and I was getting thinner and thinner. And it's almost like a diet competition at the end of the day, because it is about kind of seeing how lean you could get, but at the same time retaining that muscle, which is hard.
Yeah, and that's where having a coach and they can tweak you. It's a science. The diet is absolutely a science to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
now, as time go by and as you're posing and you're practicing, are you feeling more prepared? Are you feeling more confident?
Yeah, so one of the things that I didn't expect as I did train for it and got down towards like I want to say it was like probably 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out. It's all of a sudden, it's almost like a light switch and you're like, holy crap, like I look good. Like all of a sudden you feel like I'm ready. This is, I'm totally going to do this. And your confidence level just skyrockets and everything starts to like kind of come into place. So the posing feels better. Your bathing suit is fitting better. Now you're so regimented with your meals and your training that it's kind of second nature. So there is a light switch, like there's a light at the end of the tunnel when you do feel like, oh my gosh, this is working. I'm actually doing this.
Are you going online and looking at previous competition to see what the competitors look like? Like, are you psyching yourself out that way, or are you just making it about yourself?
Yeah, it is easy to get caught up in that because a lot of times you'll start to see, especially now with everything online, you'll be able to see like who's registering, who's competing, and you will start looking and like, oh my gosh, like she's so much more muscular than me or she's leaner than me. But that also at the same time for me was fueling me. So during my workouts, I was like, somebody's out there training harder than me. Like, no, I need to train harder. I need to eat cleaner. I need to work harder. So while it could demotivate you, I tried to use it to motivate me.
Oh, very smart. So now the morning of the show, well, it starts for the morning of the show, or when did it start for you? Because there's quite a bit of prepping to get to the stage. So when did that start for you? And then what was that like?
So the night before, you literally cannot sleep. I want to say it's like Christmas morning, but it's not. It's more like you're getting on like a really scary roller coaster and you signed up for it, but you're like, what am I doing? So the night before was like, I was starting to like second guess, like, what am I doing? Because there's so many unknowns. So you have to go get tanned, which no one tells you you are going to be stark naked getting tanned. And at that time the spray tans weren't what they are now. So I was like hand tanned by my trainer. And it was like staining wood. So it was like 3 coats of that. And then I looked like a monster. My children were actually afraid of me. They're like, what did you do? What is happening? Your makeup has to match the tan because you don't want to look like you're wearing a mask. And then, you're with all these other people and they're all backstage, like pumping up, like everyone's lifting weights and doing push-ups and pull-ups. And you're like, where am I? What is happening right now? What did I do?
Did you have to travel for it, or was it pretty local?
The one I did was local, so it was probably like half an hour away from my house. So luckily it was local, which is much more convenient.
Okay, so you were able to do all of this at home and stay at home and do this instead of being in a hotel room. And okay, so
yeah,
like you said, you show up and there's a lot of other competitors and they're doing your thing and it's your first time. So what do you feel like at this point? Are you making friends? Is there anybody else that you know there?
I know no one. And I actually had my coach come with me because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And this whole process starts at like 5 a.m. because you have to start eating, you're practice posing, you're getting your hair and makeup done. They have like a competitors meeting before the whole thing. So before they let the audience come in and the judges and all that. They have a competitors meeting where they tell you all the rules and how things are going to work. You have to go get measured, like how tall you are. So they do like height classes. You get your number. They have the little number, you check in. And for some organizations, this is the time when they would like test you, like they usually do a lie detector test. But yeah, so we're in an auditorium with all these other competitors and everyone's got their coolers and food and they're in sweats and they're all tan and all the girls are made up. And it was just I didn't know anybody except for my trainer. And, you're just kind of following along like what the process is. The nice thing is though, it is like, there is a lot of camaraderie. Everyone's just going through the same thing. They're all dieting down and training and tired. And so everyone was very friendly. Like, it wasn't like you get there and everyone's like, oh, I'm going to kick your ass. It was really a nice community of people.
Okay. So now how are you mentally preparing yourself to step on stage?
So now you're backstage, you're pumping up. So before you go on stage, you have to eat.
Okay, start using I am backstage. Okay.
So I am backstage. Yep. I'm backstage. I'm backstage and I have to eat certain foods because there's a way to make your muscles look fuller and more vascular and all this good stuff before you get on stage. So I'm eating certain things, I'm pumping up, I'm around all these other people doing the same thing. So now imagine I'm in 5-inch heels doing push-ups, doing bicep curls with dumbbells. Like, it's just really weird. I'm all tanned, I'm like sweating because it's the summer. So now they line us up and I'm ready to go out on stage. And it's me and like four other girls. And I'm like petrified because I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing right now? And then you have to go out by yourself and do a pose, like do your front, side, and back poses all by yourself. And what I didn't realize as I walk out there is, oh my God, I've been posing in front of a mirror all this time and there's no mirror in front of me anymore. Now it's like judges. So that was like kind of blew my mind and threw me off for a second. And you know, you just have to kind of envision what you think you look like. And there's these bright lights. You know, the reason you tan so, the reason I'm tanning so darkly is for bodybuilding competitions, the lights wash you out. So there are super bright lights on you, and they're looking at every muscle and how, you know, how you present yourself. You need to smile the entire time. So I literally put Vaseline on my teeth to keep me smiling. And then they line you up next to these girls, and you're literally judged next to people. And you do all these quarter turns and hold different poses. And yeah, it was surreal.
And this is a morning prejudging part of it.
Yes.
Okay,
so there's 2 sections. Yep.
Yeah. So there's some people on the audience. The audience full, or?
The audience is half full. So I had, obviously my family members were there, because there's the prejudging, which is in the morning when they actually make the decision on who's taking what place. So that happens in the morning, and then there's like a 3-hour break in the middle. I don't understand why they do that, but so yeah, so there's not that many people in the audience. So that's also weird, because there's not, you know, you hear my mom like, go, you know, cheering you on and stuff. But it's weird. It's weird, like posing and there's no audience there.
Okay, so then 3 hours go by, and then what are you doing? How are you feeling in that? Well, let me back up. How do you feel when you get off stage, having been there with the other women that were there?
I was completely relieved. I mean, I was nervous going up, because I'm looking at these women, and obviously a lot of them have done this before. And like I said, are much more muscular than me. This is my first competition, like just, you know, kind of wigging it. I was relieved after I was done. And then in between, like the downtime, I actually, in my mind, I was like, well, I'm never doing this again. This is a one and done. So I actually hired a photographer and did a photo shoot in between. So I was like, you know, my hair's done, my makeup's done, I'm tan, I look great, I feel great. So I actually did an outside like photo shoot during the time in between the finals. So then they bring everybody back, and then there's the finals, which is when you come back out again and they announce all the winners. So I think I came like 4th out of 5. But I was just excited to have a trophy. And I was so proud of myself that I actually did something that took a lot of time and effort and dedication, and was a goal that I had set like 20 years ago. So it was very rewarding.
But when you went back out that night, or later, it's a much different environment. What was that change in environment like for you? Did you notice it, or did it impact you at all?
Yeah, it's definitely, so in the morning when you went out, I literally felt like I was getting on like a scary ride, you know, and then at night going out, you already know the girls that you were out there with. So now you're joking around, and it's like, oh, this is great. What are you going to eat after? That's always the big question everybody asks. So we've all been dieting for 3 to 6 months. What are you eating when you get off stage? And a lot of people bring food with them. So it's like a feeding frenzy backstage afterwards. But going out that night, it was just so much more relaxed. I was so happy, like my family and friends were there cheering me on and brought like flowers and stuff. I felt like I had like a big dance recital or something.
Yeah, it's a really great feeling. That's awesome. So you did end up competing again. How'd that come about?
Let me just add, so after the show, we do all go out and feed our faces. So there is a lot of hamburgers, French fries, and ice cream that is had after that. Yeah. So that's
food babies and belly aches.
Yes, a lot of food babies are born that night. So similar to after my first marathon, I was like, I am never doing that again. That was fun. I'm glad I checked the box, but I'm never doing that again. And then I realized that I really won't push myself unless I have a goal like that. So that is what sucked me back in. And I was like, well, could I get better? Could I place better? Could I try a different organization? And that's kind of what brought me back. And so now I've been competing every year since 2012. And actually, thankfully, 2020 is the first year I took off. And thankfully I did, because a lot of shows were canceled.
Yeah. So what was the show where you earned your pro card?
So it was 2016, so I'm getting all my years confused, but it was about 2 years ago. And this was probably like my 4th or 5th competition. I felt really good about the package I was bringing. Now I'm much more comfortable with the hair, the makeup, the tan. I know the whole drill. I had got a great bikini. My posing is, down pat. And I was competing in a smaller show down the shore. And I felt like my posing was great. The competition was decent, because that's a good thing too. Like, you don't want to go out and have people that you want competition. You want to, feel like you're competing against some really strong people. So I'd gone out and they were announcing the awards, and they were like, all right, and this, at first place, which, comes with a pro card, because they leave the last two, so you don't know who's second, who's first. And they were like, and the, first place goes, which includes a pro card, goes to, and they said my name and number. I was like, it was like a ton of bricks hit me. I just never imagined, because I thought, I'm going to get my pro card before I'm 50, and I'm not, be 47. So I was like, oh, I have, I still got time to get my pro card. So that just blew me away, that I was able to get it way before I thought. And then this past year, I competed in the same organization, my pro debut, and I won my pro debut. And that, again,
congratulations.
Thank you. Again, I was like, oh, that's going to be before I'm 50. Got time. So just a lot of really exciting firsts that kind of still, I think about it and I get so happy and excited.
Oh, well, that's awesome. A great story of your first time competing and then getting your pro card and winning your first show as a pro. That's awesome. Yeah. Very, very well done. It's definitely, there's nothing easy about it. That is for sure. I did it for 2 years and I definitely decided, it is actually not for me. But I think, competing in the NFC is, like you said, if you're natural and you're competing in that particular, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, with that organization, yeah, mm-hmm. you quickly become non-competitive, because naturally those things just don't happen. And
exactly. So I highly recommend, if anyone does try a first competition, definitely try a natural organization that tests, because you want to be on a level playing field. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you for sharing that. All right. Are you ready to switch gear and play the first time lightning round?
Yes.
Okay. So the way it works, I'm going to give you some first time options. If it's something you've done before, if you're on the app, you would swipe up. So you'll just say up, or I've done it before. If you've never done it, not interested, it's left. And if you've never done it, would like to do it, then it's right. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So have done it, never done it, want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, have never done it, want to do it. Have never done it, don't want to do it. Yeah. So play Pokemon Go.
Haven't done it, don't want to do it.
Okay. I didn't know if, since you had kids, that's something that they had dragged you. It's something that I'm honestly, I'm very torn about it. I've never done it, and I can't decide if I would if it came around and somebody wanted to do it, I guess I would do it, but
that's how I feel. If I fell into it, I don't think I'd pursue it, but if I happen upon it, I'll be like, all right.
I'm like, all right. I'm still confused on how it works anyways. Okay, take a wine tour.
Done it, love it, would do it again.
Do you remember your first one?
My first wine tour. Oof. Let me think. Yes, I think. I want to say Cape May Winery. Cape May Winery. I was way back. It had to be like 10 years ago, and they were super duper small. They had like a little tiny tasting room, and they gave you a whole tour of their facility, and you got to try the wine. And it was like, it's just, there's so much science to it. It's just fascinating. So if you like wine and you drink wine, I highly recommend a wine tour.
All right, awesome. Do a handstand.
Yes, I've done it. Would love to do it.
Can fruit, vegetables, or any other food? Any canning?
Yes, I've done canning.
All right. What was your first canning experience like? A success?
I had a lot of help from my husband. We did, gosh, what the heck was it? I want to say we canned pickles. And they were good. They were great. But yeah, again, a lot of science to project.
All right. Sponsor a child.
Yes, I have done that.
Okay. Dance the quick step.
I don't think I've ever done that. I would be open to doing that. I'd like to do that.
All right. Do bookbinding.
Yes. I actually did that when I was little. I was in the book club, like a book club thing, authors club, young authors club. We had to bind a book. But yeah, I highly recommend.
Excellent. Awesome. Drive across the United States.
I have not, and I would like to do that.
Okay. Get hair extensions.
Yes, and I just had to take them out. They grew out from the pandemic. Highly recommend, because I have super thin hair.
Do you remember the first time you got it done and what it felt like afterwards?
I do. And I was like, oh, so actually it was last year I had gotten it at the tape ends, because I've gotten the clip-ons, and I don't count those. I count like the tape ends, and I got them and I felt like a princess, because I got them really long, and I was like, I thought it would just be like, oh, I'll just try it out and see how it goes. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm never getting rid of these. Thank you, pandemic, for making me get rid of my hair extensions.
Oh, how long do they last for? I've never done it. I have no clue what they're like.
So I had the tape ends, and what happens is they grow with your hair, obviously. So they last about 3 months, and then you have to have them taken out and raised back up. So I just hit my 3-month mark. So that's when they got taken out.
Oh, all right. Well, hopefully soon again.
Yes.
Actually, where are you?
I'm in New Jersey.
Okay.
I'm in the belly of the beast.
Yeah, I was gonna say they in Las Vegas on Saturday they reopened up their hair salon, and
Nice.
I made an appointment for not this Friday but following Friday with my hairdresser to get rid of my wisdom crown.
I'm with you. I just had them deliver a kit so I could do mine.
Yeah. And I'm very she's a single, she has a single space that's all hers, and so I do feel safe. Yeah, so I don't know if it was a big salon if I would be up to that, but single space, I'm like, yeah, close the door and it's all single salons. Very interesting.
That's
place.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So take a photography class.
Yes, done that.
Done
good.
That?
High school actually.
All right, awesome. So the next question is today's prompt, and today's prompt is first tattoo. Do you have any tattoos?
I do. I have one. I have one tattoo.
All right.
Funny story. Okay, so first tattoo, got it when I was 23. My parents said they would disown me if I got it while I was in college. So got it right out of college. It is the Japanese symbol for strength with a little heart next to it, but I've come to find out the heart is on the wrong side. So I thought it meant strength of heart. It means strong lover. Go figure.
Well, okay, it's not that bad.
Definitely look up your first tattoo before you get it. A little more homework.
Yeah, so yeah, my first and only tattoo. So ever since I was a young teenager, for some reason, I was obsessed with eagles, which translated into I want an eagle tattoo. And so after graduating boot camp and I'm at MOS school, it's not occurring to me to get a tattoo right away, but a bunch of the guys were going out to get tattoos. And I was like, oh, let me tag along. And I tag along and we go to this Navy chief's house. So he's doing tattoos at home. Now that I look back, I'm like, that's the best. Yeah, but I'm 18 years old. You don't think about those things. So one guy's getting his tattoo and I'm flipping through, the book of his tattoos and there's an eagle. And I'm like, I'm doing it. So I had to have one of the other guys drive me to go get money at the ATM machine, came back, and I got the tattoo, which is on, where's yours located?
Mine is on I have to look, my left ankle.
Okay, so I got mine on my stomach, my lower, right stomach. So the wing actually touched the ribs. Yeah. So it was a very painful day of me just like, yeah, I'll come along.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. My grandfather tried to get an eagle across his chest here. He got the wings. He was like, yeah, no, I'm good.
He was done. Yeah. It's small, obviously, and it was very, very, very painful. Ooh. So painful that it could use a touch up. And I'm like, nope, I said no word.
I'm good. I never had my touched up. I was like, yeah, no, I'm good.
No. So what happened when your parents found out you got it?
they were like, well, they were like, they didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to hear about it. And then when I found out that what I thought it meant or what it really meant, they were like, see, karma. Never should have gotten it. I was like, ah.
How would you feel if your kids wanted to have tattoos?
I think I'd be okay with it as long as it wasn't like on their face. Or small.
And they properly researched
Yes,
what they were
that's
tattooing
the
on their
key.
bodies.
That's the key.
Yeah. So, all right, final questions. How are you making the best of the current situation with the pandemic?
So I'm trying to focus on the positives because I think it's so easy to get sucked into the negatives, especially with the news and stuff, and really focus on what's the new normal and what's changed from your old normal that you want to keep. So, you know, for me, it's like I have a lot of family time now and trying to just really connect with my kids and spend kind of quality time with them, with my husband. I feel like, you know, we're all, you know, my husband's a teacher, the kids are all at school online, we're all at home, but really kind of carving out time to really connect with each other and disconnect from online, because I feel like it's 24/7 that we're on computers, TVs, phones, everything.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's awesome. It's a good way. Yeah. I mean, you just don't normally ever get this kind of family time.
Yes.
So what an amazing opportunity to make the absolute best of it. All right, Allison. Well, thank you very much for joining me on the broadcast and sharing your story.
Thanks for having me. It was awesome. So much fun.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.